Hello again and welcome to another Mordian Mondays. This is episode 49. Now, some of you may have noticed straight away, I've got some unusual pictures up here. What is this lovely house that you can see? Well, bit of an unusual announcement, guys. But my dad has asked me to do a shout out because him and my mum are raffling off their house. So basically, about 20 years ago, when I was but a wee nipper, my mum and dad came across a decrepit old Georgian house called Melling Hall that had actually been gone from being a Georgian hall to a hotel. Unfortunately, the previous owners had taken really poor care of it, and my dad saw this, and he's always been interested in this kind of stuff. And him and my mum decided to buy it it was in very poor condition, so they were able to pool some savings together and buy it. And they've spent the last 2 decades restoring it. It has been, I would say, pretty much my dad's life work to restore this property to its former glory, and he's finally done it. And he's asked me, because I've got obviously my YouTube following and that, he's basically said, look, can you do a bit of a shout out for what we're doing here? So it's a bit unusual, guys. Obviously, if they were just selling it normally, I wouldn't put it up here. It wouldn't really be appropriate. But what they're actually doing is they are raffling the house, and a lot of the money is going to go to charity. The charity in question is St. John's Hospice, and the way you enter, guys, is you pay £2.50 for a ticket. You can buy more than one ticket if you want, and in a couple of months' time, my dad will pick out a ticket number. It's all electronically done, so it's all recorded. And if your ticket number comes out, then you win. Now, you guys know I'm no salesman or anything like that, and this is very unusual for this channel. Totally different to what I'd normally talk about. But it's my dad's, it's his life work, like I said, and family comes first. And I promised him I'd do a bit of a shout out because you don't have to be in the UK to buy this thing. To enter this raffle, I should say, you can be anywhere in the world and you can enter. And so like I said, I just thought I would do him a shout out because it's my dad at the end of the day, isn't it? So like I said, if you're interested, ticket there'll be a link down in the description below, and you'll be able to get the full details there. I've just put a few pictures up here. There's loads more on the website. You can check them out. And I know some of you will be thinking, Mordian glory, you must come from upper high class society, some sort of imperial governor's son. It's not the case at all, guys. Like I said, this is the culmination of 20 years work for my dad. When we first got it, it was pretty decrepit, to be honest. And I spent most of my childhood growing up on what was essentially a building site. But as you can see, he's really put his heart and soul and his life and his passion into this thing. So just go and check it out if you've got 5 minutes. And really we appreciate any support you can give, because it is for a good cause. It's for charity as well. But anyway, I won't go on about it anymore. We'll crack on with some Warhammer now, and actually some Bolt Action this week. But like I said, I'd give him a shout out, and I hope you guys will check it out. Anyway, guys, that's enough of the real life shit. Let's get on with what you're all here for, which is some sweet, sweet hobby progress. So, as you can see, guys, I've thrown a couple of pictures up here. This is one of the models that I've been working on this week for my Bolt Action army, which is Japanese officer on horse. And this is actually inspired by the real life character Baron Nishi. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Really, really enjoyed painting this model. Pretty simple to do, to be honest, but there's nothing quite like painting a regal officer on horseback. It just feels so right. And this is actually one of the models that made me want to get into the army, because I couldn't see any of the faction that had officers with samurai swords, swords on horseback. Absolutely love this model. It's really, really cool. I don't even know what the rules are for it. I don't know if this guy's a special character or anything, but he looked really cool, and so that's why I decided to paint him up. I think basically it is, he hasn't got any special rules. It's not like 40k where you've got like superheroes or anything like that. It's just a Japanese officer on horse, and a famous one from that time was this guy called Baron Nishi. So Bolt Action officers are a little interesting. They work quite differently to obviously 40k ones, but they're kind of similar. They are kind of similar to Imperial Guard officers. So what you do with them basically is they can rally the troops around them, which means they get to remove pin markers from them, which is always really good. And they can also do something called like snap 2, where if they do an action, they can make the squads around them do the same action. So one of the big problems you can have when playing bot action is because you're picking your dice out of the bag, sometimes your opponent will get 2 or 3 dice in a row and it'll scupper your plans. You might have, previously lined up 2 or 3 squads and an officer ready to do a glorious charge and take that hill, but then, damn, the dice just aren't coming out of the bag. So what you can do to stop your whole plan going to crap and getting that bad feeling, you can pick a dice out and say, right, this is going to be my officer. He is a senior officer or he's a junior officer, and depending on what rank they are, depends on how many units they can snap to. And he goes, right, men, snap to it, let's do it. And he, and if he's a senior officer, 2 of the squads can perform actions that in one instance, rather than having to wait for 2 or 3 dice to come out of the bag. So it's really, really good, and it means you can pull off some of those great things that you can do in 40k, which is you can set yourself up one turn and then carry out a grand offensive the next turn, which is personally one of the problems that I had with bot action when I played it years ago, was this feeling of I've got everyone ready, and then they're kind of going in fits and starts and little bits, and it didn't feel very good. So I think it's something they added in bot action 2nd edition, which is where your officers can snap to and you can pull off it's bot action's a small game, but you can pull off these small medium-sized maneuvers. So it's really cool. So I'm hoping that the horse will do something. Maybe it just means he gets to move further. I don't know, but I think we can all agree it's a super cool model. So that's kind of the tactics. Normally I do the painting stuff first, but I did the tactics first because I was really excited about painting this officer up and talking about his uses on the battlefield. In terms of the model itself, it comes in 3 parts. It comes with the horse and the saddle and everything. That's just one metal block. And then you have the body and the legs and the arms. That's all one bit. And then you just glue the head on. So it's 3 parts: head, body and legs and arms, and then the horse. There is a bit of an aggressive mould line on this one, which I didn't notice until after painting it up. It doesn't really bother me. You guys know that I've dealt with many, many mould lines in my time, and when you've got a full army on the board, you just don't notice it. You notice it on the individual models when you're looking at them under the spotlight, but when you've got full armies on the table, you just don't notice things like that, especially when you're running a pure infantry army, which the Japanese tend to be, because their infantry is very strong and their vehicles are very weak, which was historically the case as well. So I'm not likely, even on a figurehead model like this, to really notice that mould line, and my opponent's not really likely to notice it as well when the dice are down. So I really enjoyed painting this model. I kept it really simple. I painted the horse. I base coated everything in a brown that was not, so I had to brown that was not Citadel miniature colours. Amazing, it wasn't a Warhammer paint. I actually used an Army Painter paint. I hate that name, Army Painter paint. And I used leather brown. Now I've started looking at Army Painter because their paints are significantly cheaper than Warhammer ones. And they come in these cool little dropper bottles, which everyone online is like, oh my god, dropper bottles, they're so amazing. And I'm not really convinced. I mean, on the one hand, yay, your paints don't dry up as much. Great, they last longer. Great, you can get every last drop out. Great. All totally good things. But what I've found with what I like to do with my Warhammer paints is probably totally heathen and heresy, I shouldn't be doing it, is I dip my paintbrush in the paint and then I put the paint onto the model, and then when that paint runs out I do a bit more, and I do that 2 or 3 times, and then I wash the brush and dry it, and I carry on. Whereas what you do with these dropper paints is, because there's no cap, it's just a squeegee bottle, you squeeze some onto like a piece of paper and then you transfer your paint from that bit. Now I know a lot of people will probably be telling me I should be doing that with like a paint palette anyway with the Warhammer paints, but I don't. I go straight from pot to model. I am old school, I am retro, that's how I do it. All these fancy newfangled painting techniques, I get a paintbrush, a pot to model, farm to table, pot to model. That's how I roll. But these drop bottles are very interesting. All jokes aside, I think if you are the kind of person to use a paint palette, then they are pretty sweet, and I would definitely check them out. Now, I bought 5 Army Painter paints. I bought Leather Brown. I bought Plate Mail Metal. I bought Ultramarine Blue, which I'm very surprised that isn't copyrighted. And I bought Angel Green. It's just missing the Dark Angel bit. And I bought Matte Black. Now, let me tell you. Leather Brown, they tell you it is the same colour as Mornfang Brown. That is a lie. It is much, much lighter. In fact, it looks nothing like Mornfang Brown. It's kind of closer to Gorthor Brown, but even then it's not that close to that. It's its own totally separate colour. Ultramarine Blue, bollocks. Looks nothing like Macragge Blue. It's again, it's totally own separate colour. Dark Angel Green, looks kind of the same, dries super shiny. Matte Black, is just black to be fair. And Plate Mail Metal is quite bright. My point is, guys, the palette comparison chart where people say, oh, you can get exactly the same colours from Army Painter for 33% off, basically, Citadel price, is bollocks. They are totally separate colours. Now, that's not a problem, but what I would say, guys, is if you have started your army and you're a few squads in and you've already used things like Mornfang Brown, Army Painter Leather Brown is not gonna match up. You need to continue with that Citadel colour. I will say, however, that these paints are perfectly good if you're starting an army from scratch. You could do the whole thing with the Army Painter War Paints. So, just a little heads up on those. I've done a little test on them. They look pretty good, but they are not the same as the Games Workshop ones. I am very used to Games Workshop paints, so probably super biased, but I still prefer them. But I am slowly warming up to the Army Painter ones. I started using them for different things. So like I said, the Leather Brown is really good as a base coat for my bolt action, because a lot of the models I've got tan uniforms, and so I want a lighter base coat that isn't white. So the Army Painted Leather Brown is really good if you're doing a Zandri Dust style army, like my Steel Legion and like my Bolt Action. So that's really good. And the Matte Black is also very, very good. No question, no problems there. I actually think, I'm 99% certain, guys, that I've forgotten this until now. This horse was painted with matte black from Army Painter. So there you go. It does look pretty good. And the Plate Mail Metal, I haven't used this one yet, to be honest. I haven't used one yet, but it's pretty good, I imagine. It's just a basic. When I've squirted it out, it just looks like a basic metal. So there you go. But so those sort of base generic colours are good, but the Ultramarine Blue is not like Macragge Blue, and Angel Green it's not the same as Dark Angel Green. There's Caliban Green. It's not the same. But there you go, guys. So Army Painter paints, they are. I'm warming up to them. So we've talked about tactics. We've talked about hobby. I know what you guys are here for, the historical section. Who was Baron Nishi and why did he inspire this model? Long story short, guys, Baron Nishi was an officer in the Imperial Japanese Army, and he was famous because he was a really, really good horse rider, and he went into battle wearing very distinct boots. He wore these really tall, like as you can see here, these really tall, very, very finely made, essentially like riding boots. And wherever he went, he didn't go into battle on horseback. This model isn't historical in that way, but he went into battle. He always had these really distinctive riding boots on, and he was part of the defense of is it Iowa? To Iowa? I can never remember it. He was part of the defense of one of the famous Japanese islands, the one where they wrote the very famous picture where the Marines raised the flag. He was part of that defence, and no one knows what happened to him. He was part of the defence. He didn't come off the island, so it's presumed he died, but he's never been confirmed dead. The only sort of anecdotal evidence was that an American fire team got into a got into a bit of a battle with the Japanese, and when the dust had settled and they were clearing through the bodies, there was a very badly mauled one, looked like it had been hit by a grenade or something. But it had these very distinctive boots on, so it is presuming that that was Baron Nishi. The interesting thing about this character, a lot of Japanese officers were kind of dicks, and exemplified, especially near the end of the war, exemplified the worst parts of the Japanese military. Baron Nishi was kind of known for being a pretty cool dude, from what I understand. I could be totally wrong, I'm going off the Wikipedia article. He was known for being pretty fair. He performed in he was known round the world. He was like internationally famous as being really good at show jumping and everything. And people who met him said he was pretty fair-minded. So that's pretty interesting. And so it was kind of sad the way, you know, obviously he died. But I guess a lot of Japanese soldiers died, didn't they? They took it pretty hard. So there you go, guys. That is the historical part of it. If you want to go and find more information out about it, if my terrible synopsis hasn't been very useful, just Google Baron Nishi. Baronnishi, I think. And it'll come up. It's a pretty short Wikipedia article, so it'll take a couple of minutes to read it, but it's got some pretty interesting information on there. Now, what is not pictured here, guys, are what I'm going to leave you with a couple of tantalizing tidbits. So, the first one is that the reason I only have one model to show you today, guys, is because I have made more progress on the Secret Project. There's only a couple of people in this world that know what the Secret Project is, but progress has been made on it, and I think it's going to be extremely exciting for the channel. And amazingly, it won't take that long for you guys to see what the Secret Army Secret Project is. And what's even more interesting is it's both a hobby project and a army project, because a list project, because I am doing this entire army in contrast paints. That's right, guys. So I'm trying out contrast as a how quick and easy is it to smash an army out using contrast paints. That's what I'm trying out. Now I'm not giving any more hints. I will talk about the Secret Project little by little, and if anyone has any ideas they can guess what it is, put it down below. But I will not confirm or deny anything. Okay? It might not even be 40k related. What? It might be. It most likely is, but it might not be. There you go. That's mad, isn't it? So there you go, guys. Other exciting news which I'm going to dangle in front of you is I have recently completed well, not me personally, work has recently been completed on the Death Corps of Krieg Army, and that will be hitting the channel very, very soon. In fact, so soon, it might even be featured in my next battle report. I've had some fantastic models done by a couple of different commission pages, and I'll give you more detail on them next week. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and of course, I will see you guys next time.